Hello, YouTube. Welcome to episode 5. This episode is going to be a podcast. I decided not to show some of the other HOH comps, the POV comps, because it's winding down to the week anyway. It's yeah. So basically, what's happening, if you guys haven't noticed, is like the first 4 episodes, there's been a couple skipped evictions, and I've said this previously in those videos that I'm not going to do evictions of people that didn't show up at all because I didn't feel like their name should be said. We could just go past it. We could forget that they played, all that stuff. There was about I casted 14 people and there was about 6 people that never showed up. So almost half my cast didn't show up, which some would say was a dud of a season, but honestly, this turned out to be one of the better seasons. So, the two completely random people that I found from different sources, they didn't show up at all. And a couple of the All Kings members didn't show up at all, and they got evicted early. But on the Marlin side, everybody showed up. On the DayZ side, everybody showed up. So credit to those guys. I appreciate everybody. It was really nerve-wracking to invite people that I play on another server on DayZ with into this realm of something that I'm very passionate about and something that I've loved and something that I've done for almost 7 years now. I think 8 years now. Since 2014, I've been doing this. I've been hosting the show on PS3. I started on PS3 since 2014. Like 10 people max a season. So yeah, we've been able to bump it up and get 14, sometimes 16 people I can try to get. And yeah, it's been a really interesting summer so far for this season. So yeah, the first 4 episodes, not really much based off of evictions since the first like 6 evictions were people that didn't show up. First 6 evictions, yeah, it's kind of boring, and I didn't want you guys to sit around and be like, who are these people that they're evicting? Because they didn't show up. They didn't show up for confessionals. They didn't show up for comps. They didn't show up just to have their voice be shared. So it's not important to show people that are evicted that didn't show up. In this podcast, by the way, if you haven't noticed, I'm just going to be rambling on about things that happened this season, and I hope you guys appreciate it. I'm going to try to catch you guys up. The first week, Viper wins the Find the Sign, which I like Find the Sign to start off with because it's a luck comp. I hide signs across a village, and it's just the first person to find a random word wins. It takes no skill, takes no endurance, takes no physical, takes no strategy. You just look and you find something. And then you report it back to me, and if it's correct, it's correct. And I like doing luck first as the HOH comp because, one, it's interesting. Anybody can win that comp. So I don't like starting off the gate like a physical PvP comp, endurance comp, where somebody that's actually strong can win and then they get targeted the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks because they're physically strong. I like to start it off with a luck comp. Anybody can win it. Anybody has a chance to win it, and it's that way, in my opinion. Yeah, Viper wins it. I know he won back-to-back seasons of it, but I'm not for sure if he won in 30. I know he won 31 and 32's Find the Sign, but I don't remember if he's won 30. And now I'm starting to record since last season. Since 30, I've decided to record every stat I could. So every stat I could record. After Viper's HOH win, the next 6-7 weeks of HOHs falls to the Marlins. Pack Wolf wins it, Fane wins it, Coffee wins it, Lone wins one, and Coffee wins like 3 of them. and it was this was definitely a season for the Marlins for sure, 100%. A lot of people, if you're watching this at home and you think that this season was rigged for the Marlins, first off, I knew about 2 days in advance before the season, like who the cast was going to be fully, and it was on the Marlins side. The the ones to the left on the picture that you see, those guys were confirmed 2 weeks in advance. The Marlins people were confirmed last second. Majority of them were confirmed last second. The only two that I knew were really going to show up was Coffee and Queen, and then it became Fane. And then Packwolf was the last Marlin to say, yeah, I'll do this. And I was scrounging around for the last two people, and thankfully, Sin and Juju were like, yeah, we can play. And so, shout out to Sin and Juju because they were the last casted members of the show, and they showed up and they made it great. Bitter and Jules, they were casted before most of the Marlins. They were casted before Fane. They they came to me a couple days after the All Kings were casted, and they said, "Hey, Jules is actually the first person that was casted." Jules messaged me on PlayStation and was like, "Hey, I watched season 31 and I'm interested in enrolling into your show, casting into your show." And I said, "Oh yeah, I'll let you in." It was that simple. Anybody can do this. Anybody, if you just message me, which is my name on here, if you just find me and message me, we could talk about things, we could discuss like time, details, all that stuff, but more than likely you'll get included into cast because I love new people. I love watching new people play how I run the show. Because it is a little bit different from the main show, but it works. And so, yeah. So, the All Kings were casted before the Marlins. And then on Viper's HOH run, he targeted his own from his side. He targeted the Marlins. And I really was questioning him, like, why did you do that, you know? He, you see in one of the past, I think last episode, you saw him after the lava comp look at me and be like, can I just go now? I, I mean, it's just wasting my time. And reality, he voted out his own members. He voted out his own numbers. So how could I be wasting your time when you didn't target the other side from the get-go? He voted out Wolf immediately, and he put up Amathea right next to him. Like, he put up his own people to be there. He played it very safe, and I really hope that he had more strategy coming into this game, more social skills of talking to people, but he didn't. And that's what really I was very concerned with, because he is somebody that usually very good at making deals and making alliances and making agreements, and he just did not do that. I don't know if it was the presence of the Marlins, like Coffee in particular, that shied him away, maybe intimidated him a little bit, but it was like he didn't care. But he still, in the confessionals, you see, wanted to win. So he tried to act like he didn't care, but he still was trying to win. It just didn't make sense. In my opinion, he should have been making deals with the Marlins on the other side before the before Fane's HOH, like maybe even on Fane's HOH. Fane's HOH the next week after Vipers find the sign HOH. Fane's maze win, when he wins the maze and he wins that HOH, basically determined how the season was going to go. Because Coffee came in, gave him the coin that he needs to open up the door, which ultimately led to the Kraken, which Fane got, and that intel gave them so much more power than what they needed to do. And by the way, when I say, for people that think it's rigged, the Kraken and the pirate ship themed, they were all made before the season started. They were made before people were even casted. All right. So for people that say it's rigged, the Kraken was made before the season casted. I had no control over who's going to win it, how they were going to win it, stuff like that. Fane got 2 coins immediately. He found it in Find the Sign, and he found it in the POV comp. And then Coffee found it in the Maze comp. And so you only need 3 coins to open the door, open both doors. And Coffee was able to give him that last piece that he needed. Fane was eventually going to win it regardless, probably, because he was already in the lead. But, oh wait, Fane won. Fane got it on the POV comp, but the HOH comp, I forgot to tell them about the twist, so I gave everybody 1. So Fane only had 2 to start with, but 1 in his pocket, basically. And then Coffee found the other one on the maze and gave it to him. And so I think Fane was going to eventually find the Kraken regardless. Fane was on pace to get it. It just happened to be Coffee was like, oh hey, I have a coin, you have a coin, let me give you my coin for safety, and in turn you get a power that we both know that you have. And I thought that was brilliant. And that was the only piece of social strategy that we got all season. And I cherish that because nobody else really went out of their way to be like, hey, look, I could do this if you want to keep me safe. So I think Coffee made the best social strategical move this season. The next time Viper wins the HOH, they use the Kraken on his week to take back control. The Marlins dominating the whole season. They've won 6. They're going to win 7 out of 8 HOHs. All right. The only HOH they lost was the first week, and it was a luck competition to Find the Sign. So the Marlins have just straight swept the season, dominated it. People are like, this is rigged. So you guys that are questioning the numbers of how there's only 8 HOH weeks and there was 14 people that were casted, it's because there was a self-eviction. Plus, on top of that, 2 out of the 7 weeks that we've recorded, 2 of them had 3 nominations, and 2 people went home on those nominations. So it was technically a triple eviction day. That's a double eviction per episode, but we do 2 weeks a day, so that was a triple eviction day. So we had 2 of those. But it ended up working out so where it was this season only lasted 1 week long, which is what I try to push for. I try to push for a 1 week long season, if that makes sense. Yeah, and again, to reiterate, tonight, last episode, Lone was evicted. It's up to Packwolf, Fane, and Coffee to take home the win. Coffee is looking like the most probable, in my opinion, from his social skills to his 3 HOH wins. He's looking like the most dominant winner. But Packwolf has also won the power veto and used it on the opposing side. He saved somebody from the opposing side and is still here to this day. And to me, that speaks in volumes. He's also been very nice. He worked both sides basically. If the Alkeen side wanted to work with somebody, they were going to work with Packwolf, and that stands out. That means a lot to me because that just means Coffee was the target on both sides of the house. So Coffee has the bigger target than Packwolf. Coffee was more of like a shield. Packwolf has been more or less playing in the shadows, kind of thing. While White Fane, has won a few comps. He's got a Kraken win under his belt. He's been a little strategic here and there, a little physical here and there. All in all, Fane has played an average game. I would give him a B+. I think this final 4 between Lone, Fane, Pack, and Coffee has been really exceptional. Lone missed like the first 2 days of airing. Like he wasn't a part of the confessionals. He wasn't a part of the first two. He like didn't show up those days. But he came towards the end, and he was in the final four. He gets evicted right here, but you know, and this situation here kind of proves it. Like Lone went under the radar for the first 2 days, and then he gets on like day 3 or 4, and it's to the jury stages. You know what I mean? Since we did 2 evictions a day, sometimes a triple eviction. Like when Lone gets on for the first time, he's already made it to jury. So that's why I have it how I have it, where people can vote out inactives, because somebody like Lone could sit there for 2 days like he did, not show up, and then the time that he does show up, he's already halfway through the season, and he doesn't really need to do much. He just needs to win one HOH comp, and he can propel himself 2 weeks. So, yeah, that's a perfect example of why inactives get voted out fast. This season, however, the final three have been truly amazing. I loved watching all three of them play, and they all three played a little differently from each other. While still intact, the Marlins, this three is the core of the Marlins Big Brother. And shout out to them. They played it really well. For people that didn't know how to play this season, they played it really well. Um, yeah, this season has been incredible in my eyes. Even though only 7 people have been active, like 7, 8 have been active, it's just really incredible to see what all they have been able to do. So a quick recap so far of the season. I don't want to make this too long. My favorite moments so far is Viper winning the lava POV. He was the target that week. He was definitely going home if he didn't win that. And it was amazing to see. I don't know if I talked about this previously, but Fane and Viper had this rivalry all season long, where Fane almost wins, almost beats Viper every time. It happened in Find the Sign, it happened in the Railroad POV comp, and it happened in the Lava comp before that Railroad POV memory comp. Viper just ended up always beating Fane until the end, until he just couldn't no more. And I think that 2 week run of Viper winning the veto to save himself, Frank Udy style for BB. My least favorite is Stina cheating in the Rabbit's Feet competition and then going on to say, oh, I let this happen before, so I should let it happen now. It was very distasteful from a season winner. Somebody that usually gets voted out first a lot, so she should have taken into account fully like how I explained games, and she didn't realize that her skin ultimately is what I believe was what allowed her to reach the top. I think her skin was a little bit taller than a lot of people. I'll try to see if I have a video of her, but I don't think I do. Her skin, even Coffee in the video says that he can't even do it, and Coffee ended up winning 3 more competitions after that week. That was week 2, I think. Coffee ends up winning back-to-back HOHs because of the Kraken, and he ends up winning a POV comp. So from a guy that ended up having, I think altogether 4 HOHs and one or two power vetoes, to sit there and say that he couldn't do it, but she could do it, I think speaks volumes. And she should realize that she was playing at a severe advantage. And previously, or currently, I do have skins banned. Like the smaller skins are banned. They cannot be used in my seasons. So maybe I have to relook at her skin and be like, listen, can't really use that. We'll see. But yeah, that was my most disappointing. Um, Queen having to self-evict because she's dealing with stuff. I hope the best for Queen. I really do. And hopefully we'll see her in future seasons. A lot of these people I want to see in future seasons as well. It will also be very interesting to see how the Marlins react in my Big Brother house when they're not all together. Like if I cast just 2 or 3 of them. See how well that works out. There was also a lot of people from previous seasons that wanted to come back, and they couldn't because I've already either casted them or I thought of going a different direction. I'm happy that they want to play, and I do think about you guys a lot. You guys will be casted in future seasons. Don't worry, I try to mix it up every season. So, hopefully everybody's listening in. This is my podcast thing that I wanted to do. Hopefully it makes a little bit more sense. And yeah, tonight, twitch.tv/QCQueso. Tonight is the live finale. Who will win it all between Coffee, Faye, and Packwolf? Who do you think will win it all? Comment down below. Other than that, see you guys tonight on Twitch.